Hello, welcome to Brighten Your Corner Ministry. My name is Cindy Ann Lois Walcott, and we are studying life lessons from the Holy Bible. You don't have to be religious, though. These lessons are for holistic living. Today's lesson is about adoption, so adopting children. And we're going to be studying this lesson in Genesis chapter 48, verses 5 and 6. It's the meat, 5 and 6. So we know that we're still with Jacob and his children. So Jacob's in Goshen with the rest of his family while Joseph is in Egypt. And news reached Joseph that his dad's ill. And so he takes his two children and he goes to see his dad. And when he gets there, now, they told his dad that Joseph is here. And Jacob, he's ill and he's weak, but he sits up. And so now he begins a conversation with Joseph. And he said to Joseph, "And now thy two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt before I came unto thee in Egypt, are mine. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. And thy issue, which thou begottest after them, shall be thine, and shall be called after the name of their brethren in their inheritance." So he's taken Joseph's two sons as his own children. And I mean, this is as plain as day. It's an adoption happening here. He fully says, "I'm taking these two kids, and any kids you have after that will be yours. So I want these two." And there is a reason for that, which we're going to see. It's going to continue in chapter 48 here and into 49, because he's dying and he's going to say why this is happening. He's going to disinherit one of his sons, and one of Joseph's sons going to take that son's place. And it was a son we talked about before, Reuben, his firstborn, who went and had a dalliance with his father's concubine. So he's disinherited for that. And one of Joseph's sons going to take his place, and the other one's going to take Joseph's place. And it's not so much a lesson, so I'll just discuss it here, what happens after. In our culture, when somebody's dying, they say they're traveling. Means they get visions of the future. And we see this happening here. It's in Genesis chapter 49, where it's called, they're saying Jacob is prophesying. It's the same thing in our culture. Say this person is traveling and have a traveling vision. And in some, like in the North American culture, where they say your life flashed before your eyes or something like that when you're dying or when you're about to die or so. So I know when I was a kid, we had an old great grand aunt, and in the 1970s she was dying, and we were all around the bed there, and she said something. She called a girl name, and she said, "This girl is at that place." She said, "This girl is at this particular place. She wouldn't meet me here. By the time she get here, I wouldn't be here." We were looking at her, and I remember one of the older ladies saying, "Oh, she's traveling. She's having a traveling vision, and that means she's dying, and she's going to be buried in Gramba Cemetery, because we can tell where she said the girl was. She's traveling along that road." And then she breathed her last breath and died. And as soon as they touched her and they said she was dead, the girl came and she said, hello, how's Miss?" She called her grandaunt's name. And everybody, and that's why I would never forget it. I think I was 3 years or 4 years old. I will never forget that, because it was so impactful. And this is what's happening in Genesis chapter 49. Jacob is seeing visions of the future for his children. And he's also given them the inheritance. And in this chapter, he takes Joseph's two kids to him. And a funny thing happens here, because he just said to Joseph earlier, "These two kids are mine. They're going to get an inheritance from me, just like my own children will." And then a little while after, he asked Joseph, who are these two? And I think in today's day, that would have been a good reason to take the man to court, the will, to challenge the will and say that he was not mentally capable when he made such a will. Um, but he is very conscious of what's going on. And Joseph said, these are my two boys, you know, and Joseph brings them to him. And Joseph, based on their culture, Joseph put the younger kid at his left hand and the older kid at his dad's right hand. And his dad switches the hands. And Joseph, now seeing this is wrong. And he said to his father, you know, you have to put, you know, this is the older son. You have to give him the blessing. And he said, I know what I'm doing. Because this child, and he talks about how this child is going to be. And so it's for me, this is this I'm getting the same feeling like when my great grandaunt was dying and traveling. So this is what's happening here, I think, in this text. And he ends up talking about the inheritance and what each of his kid is gonna be doing in the future, or what they are going to be in the future. So it's not so much a lesson coming up after this in chapter 49. So I just brought it in here because I wanted you to see. It's more of the inheritance and what he foresees for them, and him adopting. The lesson, though, is about the adoption. And so some people may have problems with adoption, especially adoption within family. My dad was adopted by his aunt, and I thank God for that, because I mean, I would not have known, but still, I'd rather be here. She kept my dad sort of on the straight and narrow path, and raised him well. And so I am all for adoption. And I see the lesson here. We have an example here. So don't ridicule people who want to go ahead and adopt and do something good for somebody else. Give them your support. We're seeing it right here again. Our blueprint is before us in the Holy Bible. And if Jacob can do it and he's adopting his own grandchildren, you can do it too. I hope this was entertaining at the very least, but educational. I'd like you to share this lesson with as many people as possible. It may not have been something you thought of, or you'd seen in that light. I think it's very clear though, but sometimes we tend to look over the simple things. So please remember to share, like, and subscribe. Have a great day now. Bye-bye.